Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 903 Sports. I am your host, Cameron Brown, joined by the boys, Hunter Shattuck, Mason Cudd, and Jeffrey Yeager this week. Boys, it is Super Bowl week. It is finally that time of the year. Bengals, Rams, essentially Bengals at the Rams. The Rams will host Super Bowl 56 this Sunday. A Super Bowl matchup that I would assume absolutely nobody had in mind when the season started, but it should be a great game. You got the sophomore QB, second year in the NFL, Joe Burrow against the veteran Matt Stafford going for his first ring, and the Rams trying to win a home Super Bowl. It's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be a battle of two really good quarterbacks, a really solid Rams defense, and can that offensive line hold up? We'll kind of get into it, get our predictions in, and I'll let you guys, we'll kind of jump right into it. Cut, I'll let you start. The Rams are a 4-point favorite at home in the Super Bowl. How can the Bengals win this game? How can they pull the upset? What are their keys to success?
Okay, so I think the Bengals can win basically like last week or 2 weeks ago when they played the Titans and they had 7 sacks. I mean, that O-line looked like they couldn't block this Zoom call right here. But then the next week, I was thinking there's no way the Bengals win with that performance. That O-line's got to do a 180, and they really did. Looking back at that game, they gave up 1 sack. And now the Chiefs D-line is not the same as the Rams D-line, but, they got Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, and Jaron Reed. I mean, that's not no pushover D-line either. So I think if the Bengals O-line can have that type of game, I think there's no way they can keep 0 sacks on the board. But if they can control it to maybe 2, 3, and not get into the 5 and 6s, then I think they can win the game. Also, I think it's going to come down to special teams. They can't let Cooper Kupp and I forget their other returner to get, like a 40-yard punt return, or, they can't be giving up. You can't give Matt Stafford drive starting on the 40.
A little stuff.
That's not going to work. And Matt Gay, he's got a boot on him. So, I mean, you can't give them midfield deal and they get 1 first down and then you pretty much give them 3 points, So, and also Matt Stafford has thrown a lot of picks this year. I think if they could get a pick, that would also increase their chances, but they need some stuff to roll their way. That's for sure.
I would say for the Bengals, a big key for them is going to have to be to take some of the pressure off Joe Burrow, and that's going to be hard because he's the heart and soul of that team. But they got to get Joe Mixon going. They're going to have, and it's going to be hard with their O-line being as weak as it is, and you got Von Miller and Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. So that's going to be tough. I think that's a big key for the Bengals. Get the ground game going. I mean, you're just going to have to get big and get tough up front. And their defense is going to have to play as good as they did last week against the Chiefs. They pitched a near perfect game last week, and they're going to have to do the same this week. So, Hunter, I'll let you jump in. For the Rams side, what are the keys to success for the Rams on Sunday?
Yeah, Cud mentioned it about how Matthew Stafford throws a bunch of picks. And basically, in my mind, it's going to come down to which Matthew Stafford shows up. And, we've touched on it the last few weeks about how much arm talent he has and the throws that he can make. But it always just kind of seems that he makes 1 or 2 really dumb decisions at the worst possible time. Even to the point where during the conference championship game, you texted us in the group message and said, well, hold on now, Stafford hadn't thrown his pick yet. Everybody just calm down and wait because it's coming. And, it ended up not coming last week, but maybe it will in the Super Bowl.
It should have. That guy right? Absolutely just let it hit his chest pad and fall on the ground.
Exactly. He tried to mess it up and they wouldn't let him. But I think it's just going to come down to, can he make the right decisions for the whole game? For all 60 minutes, because, man, I as you can tell, I'm hesitant. I don't think he can, but that's what it's going to come down to, because I don't want to say they clearly have the talent advantage, but I mean, they do. I think if you look at it on paper, up and down the rosters, the Rams have far more talent. So it's just going to come down to, can the Rams execute the way that they're capable of doing just for 60 straight minutes? Oh, Bob, you're on mute.
Damn, you're on mute.
Rookie move by me. Terrible. If you compare the Rams on paper to the Bengals, the Rams are significantly better ball club.
Yeah.
But the Rams
basically at every position.
Every position. Receiver, I mean, the Rams have Odell, Cooper Kupp, Cam Akers, Matt Stafford, defense, you got Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Aaron Donald. I mean, on paper, they're miles better, but Vegas only has them as a 4-point favorite, and they're at home. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you that they really are buying some stock in Joe Burrow. So, Diego, I'll let you jump in here for a little bit. Bengals and Rams talk. What are the keys for both teams?
Well, so I went and I looked, obviously I'm a statistics guy. And so I went up and looked, I was looking at the Rams schedule from the regular season, and all their losses, except for the loss to the Titans, all their losses had the same three factors. So in every single loss, it was to the Cardinals and then to the the 49ers twice, and then and a couple other games. But their losses had the same three factors. Number one is the opposing team had 35 plus minutes of possession. I think it was like 36, 36, and 39. The second thing is the Rams had 2 or more turnovers and the other team had 1 or less. And then the third thing is the opposing team had 100 plus rush yards and the Rams had less than 75. And that was across the board. Like, I was amazed at how consistent it was, because even in those losses, the passing yards were about even between both the teams. But when the one team controlled it for over 35 minutes, and then they forced Matt Stafford or guys to fumble or Matt Stafford to throw picks, and then when they had 100 plus rushing yards, just putting the ball on the ground, just ground and pound against the Rams ended up losing all those games. And so I think that's the key for the Bengals, is you're going to have to get the running backs involved. Joe Burrow can throw and whatnot, but I think if you get into a shootout with the Rams, eventually OBJ, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, all those guys are just going to overpower you. That defense needs to find a way to come up with a pick and a fumble at some point in the game. And then obviously the Bengals need to find a way to have the football for close to 40 minutes of the game. And I think those are the three keys for the Bengals to win. Now, as far as the Rams, I honestly think if the Rams just go out there and perform like they're supposed to, they'll win the ball game. I mean, it's like you said, on paper, Aaron Donald can overpower that O-line. Von Miller can overpower that O-line. Gaines, the other guy, can overpower the O-line. Jalen Ramsey, he's going to guard Jamar Chase. Jalen Ramsey is no scrub. Jamar Chase is good, but Jalen Ramsey is going to guard him, and it's going to be a tough matchup. Matt Stafford's still a great player. You still have to double Cooper Kupp because he knows how to get open. OBJ is going to get open. Tyler Higbee's a big old tight end body. Like, on paper, the Rams, if they just go out and just play how they're supposed to, they win this game. And I think that's really the key for the Rams more than anything, is if they show up mentally.
A big thing for me for the Rams is, we talked about how much talent they have, and those guys are going to show up. Cooper Kupp's going to make his plays. Odell's going to make his plays. Aaron Donald and so forth. Can Matthew Stafford not turn the ball over? If Matthew Stafford doesn't turn the ball over, I think the Rams win, and I think it honestly may be by a touchdown or 10 plus points. If he cannot turn the ball over, Stafford goes out with those 2 picks. Cam Akers puts the ball on the ground. Things get pretty interesting.
Yeah, if the line on interceptions from Matthew Stafford were at half, what would you take? Over. Under? Exactly. I don't.
Every game.
Yep, I don't imagine he's going to keep it mistake free.
I don't, and that's why we talked about the Bengals defense earlier. They've got to play a really good game, like they did against the Chiefs last week. They changed the whole game, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks now. Got the stinking Pro Bowl in there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they got to force turnovers. The Bengals have got to play. I don't want to say a perfect game, because they got some kind of magic going.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to make some plays defensively. Go ahead, yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, like, with the Rams, like I said, showing up mentally, there's always that quote that, how many times on a practice green have you made a 3-footer to win the Masters? But then, those pros have putted 1,000 3-footers. But then when you actually have 3 feet to win the Masters, like, you got to mentally be there.
Different
and
ball.
I think that's what it is for the Rams. Like, they've in practice talked about winning the Super Bowl, gone through plays they could win the Super Bowl, but like they're actually showing up to the Super Bowl this time, and it is the Super Bowl, and that's what I'm interested to see, if the spotlight is too much for them, because I think that's where Joe Burrow and the Bengals have an advantage, is Joe Burrow, it doesn't seem like the spotlight is ever too much for the kid.
That's why you can't count Cincinnati out of this game because they have Joe Burrow. I mean, even if you go to the coaching aspect, like Zach Taylor's done a great job, but he's not Sean McVay. I mean, Sean
No.
McVay's a top 3 coach in the NFL. So the Rams
Yes.
have the edge there as well. And I don't know, it might have been Cud earlier made a really good point about special teams. The Bengals are going to have to do the little things right. They can't, kick it off out of bounds. They can't fumble on a punt return. They've got to do the little things right in this game.
Yeah. I'd like to add that they need to, like last game against the Chiefs, T. Higgins was huge.
Yeah, that was my next point.
And then the last time they played in the regular season, Jamar Chase had dropped like 260 receiving yards on him. I mean, he killed him.
Yeah.
So, and then that next game, clearly the Chiefs put a focal point on don't let number one do that again. So guys like T. Higgins, that Uzama tight end, I read today he's playing.
Oh,
He's coming back?
He said I'm going to play this game.
wow.
That's big.
Will he be 100%? I don't know.
Great.
But those guys are going to have to step up and make plays because number one's going to be on number 5 the whole game. So those T. Higgins and those guys and Tyler Boyd is going to have to step up. And like Yeg was just saying, like those other teams were that they lost those 3 games, they were in the 30 plus minutes of time of possession. They don't need the long bomb, just creep down the field, get some slants, get some quick screens going. And I think Joe Mixon, I don't think he's going to be able to run in the tackles. They're going to have to get some option plays, something to get to the sidelines because that front seven is going to be all over 28.
Yeah, the Bengals are going to have to get creative play calling for sure. They're going to throw everything they have at them. But you took the words right out of my mouth, Cut. That was my next point is Jamar Chase is going to make his plays, but Jalen Ramsey is going to be on him 99% of that game. So Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Uzama are going to have to step up and make plays themselves. They're going to have to get open. They're going to have to make a catch they're not supposed to and so forth. So I'll let you jump in. I know you got a thought here.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds to me like, you said Cincinnati's going to have to take care of the little things. And we've touched on it a few times about how Stafford and the Rams are certainly going to make mistakes. And it seems like Cincinnati's defense is not going to be able to get away with not capitalizing on those mistakes. Like the 1 or 2 really bad passes that Stafford throws, they have to capitalize and end up picking those off. They can't have the situation that happens so often where it just kind of goes off the DB's hands and it hits the ground incomplete. Okay, it's 2nd and 10, no big deal. But that's a chance gone. And I don't think they can get away with, passing up on those opportunities. And Cud was touching on Joe Mixon a bit, and even Yeager was talking about the time of possession. And I think those kind of work hand in hand because obviously the defensive line of LA is so dominant. And so with the time of possession, if Cincinnati can somehow hang on to the ball and stay on the field and string a couple of drives together, that's going to wear down the big guys up front for LA and make them less effective in the pass rush, which is then just going to open up the field even more for Cincinnati, and it's going to snowball. And I think especially early on in the game, if Cincinnati goes, a couple 3 and outs in their first couple possessions, then all of a sudden that defensive line is still fresh deep into the second quarter. And I could see it getting out of hand really quick if Cincinnati doesn't get off and get at least one good drive early in the game.
I mean, from what we're talking about, it seems like, I don't want to say none of us are giving Cincinnati a chance, but they are the clear underdog in this game. And if you look back throughout the playoffs, like they were dead against Tennessee late in that game. And then Brian Tannehill threw the pick and they capitalized. They were completely dead underneath the tombstone against the Chiefs down 21-3. And then out of nowhere, here they come. And then the Chiefs throw up on themselves and the Bengals come back. So I don't want it to seem like we're all counting the Bengals out. It's just, if you just look at it, tail of the tape on paper, the Bengals have no chance in this game. But it's going to be a hell of a football game.
Yeah.
Because Joe Burrow's
I mean,
and the Bengals are rolling right now.
They've had no chance, most of their playoff games. Were they even the favorite versus the Raiders?
They've been they were favored against the Raiders because they were
But by how much?
not many. It was like
2.5, I think, or 3.
It was a low amount of points. It's 3 or 4, maybe. No, I think it might have been 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was 5.5, but still not crazy.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, they've been underdogs all season long. And we've seen it our entire life in sports, these teams that kind of have that magic going, some things they're hard to beat. I mean, they're going to outplay their talent all the time. So it's going to be an interesting game. I know we touched on it, but I wanted to ask a question, and Diego asked you this. Do you think Burrow has to be perfect? Do you think he has to play the game of his life for them to win this game? Because he's gonna be under a lot of pressure from the D line in this game from Aaron Donald, because his O line's weak, and I don't see his O line just magically getting better in this game. They're gonna have some problems. So I'll throw it to you.
No, I don't think Joe Burrow has to be perfect. I don't think it's one of those games where, Joe Burrow is the X factor. Do I think he's a big reason this team is doing what they're doing? Absolutely. But, I've said this a lot with generational talents, people I consider generational talents in sports. I think the common denominator for me, people that are generational talents, they bring a sense of we can overcome anything with them to the team. Like the team has a different belief about them. They have a different attitude. Like I said before the draft, and even just a couple games into LaMelo Ball's career, I was like, that kid is a generational talent. And if you want to disagree with me, we can go on a whole other tangent, but I watched him play 2 games and I was like, this kid is a generational talent. Like the Hornets, they just play with a different attitude since he got there. You remember? No, seriously, a couple seasons ago, the Hornets,
Just love your analogies.
No, seriously, like LaMelo Ball comes in and all of a sudden they're calling Ball and Miles Bridges Airbnb because they're throwing lobs. Like people just like the Hornets believe they can win. Like LeBron goes to any team, all of a sudden that team's like, we're a championship team because we have LeBron. It was the same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady goes to Tampa. All of a sudden, everyone in Tampa is like, of course we're going to win a championship. We have Tom Brady. And I think Joe Burrow has that same thing about him, where it's just like people can say this and that, and it just goes back to, but the Bengals have Joe Burrow, but we have Joe Burrow. If you go and look at Joe Burrow's Instagram post, all his teammates are commenting on every single post. That's my quarterback. We got this. Ain't nobody beating Joey Ice or Joey Burr, and all that. And so Joe Shiesty, baby. But I don't think Joe Burrow has to be perfect. It's like I said, like the teams that have beaten the Rams, they've held the ball for a long time. They've put it on the ground and just run it on them. And they've forced Matt Stafford to be uncomfortable. And what I think is really interesting is I think those 3 things all go hand in hand. If you put the ball in the ground and run, you're going to end up having the majority of the possession. And when you have the majority of the possession, you make the other quarterback a little nervous because he doesn't know how many times he's going to be able to get on the field, and it forces him to do something that he, is not always comfortable. Because if you've looked at the games where the Rams win, it's because they get a lead early, and then all of a sudden Matthew Stafford is like, I feel so comfortable, and that's when he starts carving people up, is when he gets comfortable. And so I think, no, Joe Burrow doesn't have to play a perfect game. In fact, I would almost venture to say that Matt Stafford needs to play more of a perfect game than Joe Burrow does in order for the Rams to win.
Stafford needs to make less mistakes. I would agree with that. I don't think Burrow needs to play a perfect game, but I think Burrow's got to play a hell of a game. I mean, if Burrow throws for 185 yards, the Bengals aren't winning this game, in my opinion. I think he's got to play really good. So I want to ask one more question to y'all, and then we'll get to our predictions for the big game Sunday. And Hunter, I'll jump to you for this. Do you think that the Rams home field makes that much of a difference? Like if this was in Lambeau, I mean, that's a different story for the Packers. If this was in MetLife for the Giants, not the Jets because we suck. If it was with the Giants 10 years ago, that would make a huge difference. Or Foxborough with the Patriots. Do we think it makes that big of a difference in SoFi for LA with all their attendance struggles they've been having?
So let me explain. So I think it makes the smallest amount of difference that it could make for any team in the NFL, but it still makes a difference. And even if it's not crowd noise, it's getting ready in a locker room that you're familiar with, sleeping in your own bed the night before. That kind of stuff matters. And I know, Cameron, you've been kind of hard on football fans in Los Angeles, and I don't necessarily blame them. I mean, they haven't. How long have the Rams been there? What, 3 years now?
Year 2 or 3, year 3, maybe 4.
Okay, not long.
Years.
Not long.
Yeah.
And
They were there
I don't
before
think
the
it's
early 2000s.
I don't really think it's fair to call them all bandwagon fans because it's
Right.
not like they were a bunch of St. Louis Rams fans just living in LA. So
Yeah.
every fan of the Los Angeles Rams is by definition a new fan. And so I try to cut them a little bit of slack because it's not like I don't know, because even I think of the Texans, that's the only real expansion or kind of new team in our lifetime, I guess, other than Vegas, but that's kind of similar to LA where it's not so much like they're craving a football team. Anyway, in Houston, it's Texas. I mean, everybody in Texas loves football. So it would make sense for the Texans to come into the league and have a big fan base. But I don't necessarily fault Los Angeles fans for not being, great fans. But so I don't know. That's the only thing I really wanted to say about that because I know you're real hard on Los Angeles as a football town.
Oh, I am. So the Rams were there in the early 2000s when they were really good. We were all pretty little for that, but they were there before. And then they moved to St. Louis. Now they're back. But LA is a massive city,
Huge.
massive, huge population. You should not, even if you're bandwagon fans, you should not have an issue with your. I've seen tweets from like Matt Stafford's wife and some of the players' wives, like, "Hey, if you have tickets, please do not sell them to the other team. Sell them to me, and we'll get like a group of Rams, whatever." That shouldn't happen to me. Like,
No, you're right. That's why I said I think it's probably the least advantageous situation of any team in the NFL.
I agree. And that was my point on last week's pod about how the Rams do not deserve the Super Bowl and the Bengals do. And I think Bengals fans, I mean, they have been in Super Bowl in what, 40 years? There's going to be a lot of orange in that stadium. Their diehard fans are going to make sure they're at this.
Absolutely.
If the Jets were playing in the Super Bowl, I would be there. If Lions fans, the Lions were there, they would be there. All the misery is all coming together in this game. They're going to want to be there. The Rams loser fans like, whatever. You know what? We'll be okay. I mean, this is massive for Bengals fans. I mean, this is everything. And I would agree, though. I would say, to your point about, the atmosphere, like, you're at home. You don't have to travel. It's your locker room. Your house is probably 2 miles from the stadium. I mean, those factors make a difference.
Yeah.
And so,
but the fans, I think if you didn't tell me that it was a home game for the Rams, I probably wouldn't be able to guess. I would imagine it's going to be the most neutral site you could imagine as far as the atmosphere.
I'll be curious to see what the fan noise is like because there was a lot of noise for the Niners, but that was in California, so that may be a one-off. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what the Bengals fans, how they show up and what their crowd noise is like in the Super Bowl because we've never seen home Super Bowls before, and now we've got 2 in a row with Tampa last year and then LA this year. So it is interesting. So, Cut, I'll get your thoughts on this, and then I want to get into our Super Bowl predictions.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I hate that the teams are saying, "Hey, y'all don't sell y'all's tickets." I think that's trash.
It's a bad look.
If your fans don't show up, then oh well, that sucks. But I mean, and also they've only like you said, they've been in LA for 3 years, and this is actually the second year in that actual stadium. They were playing at the Rose Bowl before that. So I mean, I honestly I don't think that the home field advantage is going to be like just overwhelming. And like you said, these Bengal fans have been through the trenches.
This
is their lives are on the line for this ball game.
Everything they've been through comes to life on Sunday.
Exactly. It could all be washed away on Sunday. So I think it's going to be awesome. I think it'll be a great game. But and when it comes down to the home field deal, I really don't think it's going to be enough to where you're going to be like, wow, I think the fans made a big difference this game.
Well, before we get into our predictions, I mean, I think I've said this on every single pod we've done, but could you imagine being a Bengals fan right now? How much fun would that be?
I
Be
would
like
be
the
so
Rangers
nervous.
series right now.
I can't imagine. I was a Rangers fan in 2010. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I literally wouldn't be able to sleep this entire week if I was a Bengals fan. I mean,
I'd been in a sweat for literally 10 days straight.
Yeah, I mean that would be something. So if they do win, it'd be really hard not to be happy for that fan base and that team. So
yeah.
All right, so Super Bowl predictions. I'm gonna go last because I still genuinely do not know what to think. So I'm gonna let you start the show. Bengals, Rams. You're the man who's been giving out the picks. So give me your spread pick and then your winner. Go ahead, Yeg.
So the line is 4.5.
I believe so. It's 4 last I saw.
Yeah, it's 4.5 as of right now. So as of right now, line or spread, I'm taking Cincinnati plus 4.5.
Back on the Joe Shiesty train.
Yes, as far as I think Joe Burrow, I think this is gonna be a close game. And the reason I say that is I think Joe Burrow shows up. Like I said, there's no spotlight too big for the kid. And I think Matt Stafford gets nervous. And so it's going to be a closer game than people think. And so I'm going to take Cincinnati plus 4.5. Winner. Oh, and it breaks my heart to say this, but I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams by a field goal. I'm taking the Rams by 3. So I think the Bengals cover the 4.5 spread. I don't think the Rams win by a touchdown. I just don't see them being that fluid. Like, they should never have let Tom Brady come back. They should have never let the Niners keep it as close as they did.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who they played the first week of the playoffs.
Smoke the Cardinals.
They smoked them, but Kyler Murray just looked bad. Like, I could have gone in at quarterback for the Cardinals and thrown for more than that. So it was bad. But like I said, I think the Rams went on a field goal. So I'm going Bengals spread, Rams dub.
Bengals spread, Rams dub. All right, Hunter. Super Bowl prediction. You're up.
All right, I'm picking the Bengals 27-24 outright.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
McPherson
got
walk-off kick.
within the last minute. Maybe not
Wow.
as the time expires, but within the last minute, we're going to have an iron boot Super Bowl winning field goal.
What a man.
from McPherson, man.
That's right.
Now that would be wild.
He's going to say something real cocky as he walks out on the field, and he's going to have a celebration for the ages.
He'd be an absolute legend for that.
Mhm.
if he did. So all
They
right,
would
Kyle,
build a statue for that kid if he kicked him a Super Bowl win
they'll
in his
build-
rookie year.
So Cut, I'll let you jump in. Super Bowl prediction.
Yeah, I mean, y'all were both talking about the last second field goal, and if anybody is going to make it or is red hot, it's the Bengals guy. So, yeah, McPherson's got the boot this whole playoff run. What is he, 10-10 right now, or 11-11?
Red hot.
Yeah,
He's 100%.
yeah, and he's got the momentum rolling into that for sure if it comes down to it at the end of the ball game. You know, a final score. Let's go back to this. We'll talk about the spread here. I like taking the Bengals plus 4 too. I think this game, whoever wins, is a field goal game. So I like the points there. You know, this is tough because I would love for the Bengals to win because of the Cincinnati fans in that city. That'd just be incredible. But at the same time, I'd love to see Matt Stafford get a Super Bowl. You know, I've always liked the guy. I think he's a great guy and a pretty good competitor. But I think the Bengals win. I think they'll win. I'm going to go 24-20.
24-20 Bengals.
Yeah.
So we got all three taking Bengals spread, and then 2 Bengals outright.
You know what that means? That means take the Rams in the
That means
or give up the
I
points.
gotta go. I think Rams win this game. I'm gonna go 28-17. I think there's. I hate
Wow.
to do that. I'm thinking about it. I'm just gonna say for this pod, that's my prediction. I'm still got a lot.
You know what?
A lot of thinking to do, but the Rams just have so much talent. Go ahead, Jake.
When
You can't
when
do
they
that.
don't
No, no,
lose
no.
by 11, you have to tweet an apology to Joe Burrow.
I'm not going to put up with this. You can't just say, "Oh, this is my prediction now," but it's subject to change. Because then, if you get it wrong, then you're going to come back on next week's pod and you're like, "Oh, no, what guys? I changed my mind.
Yeah,
I changed my
Cam.
mind."
Okay,
Grow a spine.
how about I give out my pick now and then I tweet it out before kickoff on our account? Is that fair?
Give your pick. We all just gave our pick. You got to give your
I gave out my
solidified
pick.
pick right now.
Rams. I gave out
28-17.
17. Rams.
Look,
cover.
I'll tell you right now, there's no way Joe Burrow loses by 11. And
Man,
I couldn't care less about Stafford getting a ring. In fact, I would like to see Jared Goff get a ring before I see Matthew Stafford get a ring.
well, that's never going to
I
happen.
would be more happy for Aaron Donald, who has just been on the wagon, not complained once, carried that team. Everyone looks to him. He has been the backbone of that organization as long as he's been there. And he's like the defensive MVP nearly every year. I would be 1,000 times happier for Aaron Donald to win a ring than anyone else on that Rams team.
Yeah, Aaron Donald played on those bad Rams teams a few years ago too, so he's kind of been through it.
Yeah, exactly. OBJ came in when it was good.
Yeah.
Von Miller came in when it was good. Matt Stafford came in when it was good. The only two people I'm going to be happy for the Rams, well, maybe three, is Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, and Sean McVay.
You forget about Robert Woods too. He'd be a huge part of that. He's been on that Rams team for a few years, and
Yeah, but we're not going to have to worry about that because the Bengals are going to win. All right, so
I'm pulling for the Bengals first of all because I don't want those lousy LA Rams fans to get a Super Bowl. But I'm going to say the Rams.
The only thing that would be worse is if the Cowboys got a Super Bowl. I would never hear the end of it in these group chats.
All right, well, those are
Go
our
Cowboys.
Super Bowl predictions. So let's jump into a little bit of one more thing on the NFL before we move on. Tom Brady, the GOAT, is hanging it up, boys.
Oh,
The greatest to ever play the position. We'll probably never see a QB like him again. Let me just read you all these stats real quick that I dug up before we started. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls, 15 Pro Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 7,263 completions. He leads the league in all of these stats, by the way. 84,520 yards and 624 passing touchdowns. He leads He leads NFL history in all those stats. And we'll never see anybody ever like Tom Brady again. Winning 7 Super Bowls, as good as the league is now, as competitive as it is now, I don't see that happening. So,
you want to know what I want to know?
what do you want to know?
Thinking after Tom Brady retired, 2 things came to my mind. The first was like, gosh freaking dang it, I may never watch another NFL season ever again. The second was, I remember him throwing that final touchdown on Jalen Ramsey to Mike Evans.
Right.
Mike Evans hucked that ball into the crowd.
Oh no!
So someone in Tampa has Tom Brady's final touchdown ball.
I'm not selling that ball for nothing. I'm not giving that ball.
You remember what that guy, they gave that guy? I mean, they gave him season tickets for like 2 or 3 seasons, a bunch of signed stuff. Tom Brady gave him a Bitcoin. They gave him a bunch of gear. Like, it was a bunch. They gave him like $30,000. I don't know. It was a bunch of crazy stuff, but someone in that crowd has Tom Brady's final touchdown pass ball, and I want to know where it is.
This is going off the rails, but that ball that Tom and the Bucks got back, that was when Tom broke the touchdown record, I believe.
Yeah.
That ball's worth a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
Well, they said immediately, same day, it could have gone for like 600,000. So now you've got someone with Tom Brady's last touchdown pass ball ever.
That ball's worth way more.
That's going to be worth 7 figures.
Yeah, that's going to be, that ball's worth quite a bit. If I'm that guy, I'm saying, sorry, Tom, you're a legend. I love you. Thanks for the Super Bowl as a Bucks fan, but I'm not giving you this ball.
Is there any way we could go? Is there any way we could find a regulation NFL football and just claim to be that guy?
Oh no, they've probably all got vid numbers or whatever on them.
Probably got. Yeah, that'd be.
All I'm saying is, if that fan, bro, there's no telling. If that fan got Tom Brady and Mike Evans to sign that ball, there is no telling what it would go for.
Cud would know better than all of us, but I mean, that ball would be worth a ton of money. Like we said, I'm not giving that ball up for nothing.
No.
Yeah.
So let me read y'all this record real quick from Tom Brady. Y'all are all saying you're sad. I'm happy as hell that he's out of the league. Tom Brady career record against the Jets, 30-7.
Wow, y'all beat him 7 times?
It was honestly more than I thought. But
honestly, I'm not trying to be mean. That's shocking.
30-7. Had to see him twice a year. Even when he gets out of New England, he comes to Tampa and they beat us this year. So, Tom, great career. You're a legend. Well, goodbye and good tidings. Enjoy retirement, pal. So, But I did think of this when we were talking about Tom. So we don't have to give out our sports Mount Rushmore, but I think we would all agree if you had your sport athlete Mount Rushmore, Tom Brady would have to be on that, right? We
Oh
would all
yeah,
have to be-
all time of all athletes ever.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd go with. I'd have to really sit down and think about it. But I would say, Michael Jordan and Tom Brady would absolutely be
He's on the list.
I could easily fill 3 spots off the top of my head. Tiger, Tom Brady, and MJ would be 3 of those guys. But yeah, Tom is without a doubt on that list.
Yeah.
What are you
I
shaking?
might have to disagree with you on the MJ one.
No, I'm not getting it.
You're
We're
going
not
to say
getting-
Kobe though, and that's
No,
just
he's gonna
an
say LeBron.
incorrect take.
No, he's the
I don't
Bron-
even know if I'd take a basketball player.
I don't know, man. MJ's a legend. I'll tell you what.
All time.
We'll store this away, and this would be a really good topic of discussion, especially post football season. So, all right. Well, we'll move off the NFL talk. I'm sad, boys. Only one more game left in the NFL season. Then we got to go through the grueling 7 months of no football until we get back to it. So, that being said, Cud, who the hell are you? It's going to be interesting this week. We only had the disgusting Pro Bowl and some basketball. So, Cud, I'll let you go for it. Who the hell are you this week?
Okay, yeah, this week again, I probably say this every week. It was another easy one. So this week it's Kyler Murray.
Oh,
So
Didn't he
Yeah.
just unfollow the Cardinals on social media?
yes, I read that today actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, he unfollowed all their stuff. But anyway, so the whole season, everyone talked about how great the Cardinals were, and they were playing awesome. They were beating everyone. They looked pretty much unstoppable on both sides of the ball. Then basically D-Hop got hurt, and then they looked like a middle school team for about 6 weeks.
yeah, they were bad.
They were horrible. Kyler was just hucking the ball up, and the ant couldn't run anymore. And yeah, I've always never liked him in the league. I think he's a hell of an athletic player, but I mean, he just runs. I mean, anyone could do that. Now he's faster than most, but
I don't know if I'd
that's
say
about it.
anyone can do that.
Yeah.
So
So
you think about that. Well, you think about the back half of that season, they were barely losing games, but they probably would have lost every one of those games by 15, 20 points if James Conner hadn't been there.
yeah, that's true. James Conner had a hell of a year.
James
But,
Conner started just shouldering the load.
Yeah, but this week he wins because the Pro Bowl, we were talking about it earlier in this podcast. No one's playing defense. I'm surprised they shouldn't even wear helmets and pads. They should have just shown up in sweatpants and a t-shirt and flip-flops. I mean, that was just ridiculous. No one's even running around playing. Everyone's just standing there talking about where they're going to party that later tonight. And that goob on the first drive of the game throws a pick 6. I mean,
Oh, he threw a
it-
pick 6?
He threw a pick 6 with 12 minutes left in the first quarter.
Oh my! I didn't see that. I just saw he threw a pick.
Yeah. He belongs nowhere near that field. I mean, that was horrible. I mean, I'd seen better plays in the recess in high school. I mean, that was just terrible. He's
It's
done.
pretty bad throw a pick in the Pro Bowl when no one's even playing defense.
And then return it is even
Yeah.
worse.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. So he's this week without a doubt.
Congratulations, Kyler Murray. You are this week's Who the Hell Are You on 903 Sports Pod. We needed like a trophy or something, or some kind of medal to keep track of all Cuds. Who the hell are yous?
You should just start a list, put it on a poster board.
Well, Cud, that is a marvelous transition into what I want to talk about next. I'm going to go on a slight rant here about the Pro Bowl that was this week. It's the gap that gets us from the conference championship to the Super Bowl every year. The Pro Bowl is without a doubt the worst event in professional sports. It used to be at least somewhat watchable when we were growing up. You don't get your hard hits, but it was still a football game. I mean, they still played, and no one wants to get hurt, whatever. So I think a couple of years ago they got rid of it and they did some goofy dodgeball deal where they didn't have it at all. And I don't even know if they had it last year during COVID. So this year I said, you know what? It's Sunday. There's nothing on. Let me just turn it on. Let me just see what's going on here. And I will say, and I told you this before, and I'm a nerd, but all the different logos on the helmets look kind of cool on the field. I love that. I don't know if anybody else does, but I think it's cool. So I'm watching the game and they're not playing tackle. They're playing two-touch like me, Cud, and Sansom and Cade used to play out in Dino's front yard by the street. These are professional millionaire athletes playing two-touch football. No one got tackled. The defensive line just stood up and just let Pat or whoever was in at QB just throw the ball down the field. I think the game was like 48-40 or something super high scoring because there was legitimately no defense. There was no tackling. So if this is what we're going to go to, just get rid of the game. In my opinion, give your guys, like we were talking about, Tom Brady had 15 Pro Bowl honors. That's cool. Just give him the accolade. Hey, he was a Pro Bowler this year. He gets this. This was our Pro Bowl team. And another thing wrong with the Pro Bowl, Kirk Cousins was playing in this Pro Bowl because, like, Aaron Rodgers, I guess, just didn't want to play. Yay, Kirk Cousins blows.
Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback.
Russell Wilson was in the Pro Bowl. He missed 8 games this year with a finger injury. I love Russell Wilson. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but why would he be?
Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback.
Kirk Cousins is garbage, Jake. He's not a Pro Bowl.
Can we put a pin in Brownie's rant real quick? Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback.
Whoa.
He's not.
The Vikings went 7-10 this year with some of the best weapons in the league.
That is not Kirk Cousins' fault.
What?
Bro, if
Whose
you go
fault is
look
it?
at his if you go look at his numbers, he was a super efficient, really well run, like just solid quarterback. He's not bad. You're making it out to seem like he was at the Pro Bowl and looks like he killed someone in order to take their
become
spot.
a Pro Bowler is just not bad. Hey, you're not a bad quarterback. Here, come down to
quarterbacks did they
Vegas,
put
play
in the Pro Bowl? How many quarterbacks were in the Pro Bowl?
Too many.
Joe Burrow and Stafford weren't there because they're playing in the Super Bowl. Brady wasn't there. Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. So there's 4 quarterbacks right off the list right there.
Okay, so there's 32 total teams. We're not putting 2 in there. We're not putting a bunch of other.
Josh Allen wasn't there. He was playing golf like a smart man. So there's 5 quarterbacks, 5 of the best in the league right now. I mean,
so they put a replacement.
Kirk Cousins is a solid NFL quarterback.
You're making it to seem like he is
not a Pro Bowler.
bad.
Not a Pro Bowler.
He does just fine enough to be in the Pro Bowl. There's a stigma. There's a stigma around Kirk Cousins that he sucks, which is just absolutely not true. Let me tell you. I don't even know if I should say this. Y'all are gonna blow a fuse.
You said you're a stats guy, and he went 7-10.
7-10 with some
win-loss has nothing to do with statistics. Whoa. Win-loss has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins statistics. Only it's a 53-man game on either side.
First off, you look like you're about to blow a fuse.
Bro, you're telling me right now you would rather have Dak and Zeke than Kirk and freaking Dalvin Cook?
I'd rather have Dak over Kirk Cousins 7 days a week and twice on Sunday.
It's not even close.
I don't know about that.
Not
I
even
don't know. Kirk, I would almost put Kirk Cousins in Dallas.
Oh, yay.
I'm serious.
No.
I'm serious.
That's a poor take.
I'm being totally serious. If I was Jerry Jones and the GM of the Cowboys and the Vikings called me up and said, you give us Dak, Zeke, and Tony Pollard, and we'll give you Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and his backup, I would take the deal.
That's the worst trade of all time.
Well, if you throw Dalvin Cook in there,
no wonder all your fantasy trades are so bad. No wonder.
No, I don't make trades because I draft exactly who's going to win.
Well, bashing Kirk Cousins wasn't my point here. Bashing the Pro Bowl was my point. And whether what we think of Kirk Cousins this year or not, he was not a Pro Bowler. I mean, if you're going to list Kirk Cousins as a Pro Bowler, then there should be 9 quarterbacks on each team. My point is you're having this 2-touch crap game with players that weren't even Pro Bowl caliber this year. Like, I don't know if they should just play flag football. I don't know if they should just get rid of it. I mean, I don't know. See grown men in pads playing 2-touch was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. And the league can't be happy about that. No, that was it was just dumb.
No.
I know the Pro Bowl's for fun, and I'm being the Grinch here, but come on, there had to be a better idea than that. If you're going to play 2-touch,
if you have them go out there and flag football, that almost looks better than shooting them up in pads and having them 2-touch each other.
Yeah, just have 7-on-7 flag football if you're going to do that. Don't put them in pads and then play 2-touch. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
You know what
Yeah.
you should do is you should take one lineman from each team and have them compete in the 100-yard dash or do like a 4x1. The
See,
lineman.
that was another thing I could say, like they did a couple years ago, they could have different like skill challenges and stuff. And I think they did that. I don't know if it was on TV this week or not. I saw a couple like 40-yard dash games and stuff. But I mean, the Pro Bowl is at the end of a long season. The NFL is an absolute grind of a season. You're going through training camp, preseason, 17 games, and some of these guys just got done in the playoffs. I mean, it is an absolute grind. The last thing you want to do is go blow your ACL out in the Pro Bowl. I completely understand that. But do we really have to have the game? Like, just have the Super Bowl the week after the conference championship. And let's just
I like the 2 weeks.
I mean, as a fan, I hate it, but it is good to get everybody healthy. I guess that is a good point. But that's why they have the Pro Bowl stuck there, because it has something on Sunday, I guess. So does anyone have any thoughts on how to fix it, or am I just being a Grinch here?
I didn't even watch the Pro Bowl.
I watched 2 minutes of it, and that's as much as I could take.
I think you either just do away with the actual game itself. Like you could still have the accolade saying, hey, you made the Pro Bowl. But for the game itself, if you're going to keep the actual event keep going, you have to have some reward into the game. As far as like in the MLB, they used to do it for the winner gets home field advantage of the World Series. So they're playing for something. And not only that, everyone in the All-Star game is typically on a playoff team or a contender team. So they're all wanting to win that game because they're obviously thinking they might play for all the marbles at the end. So I think either A, you put a reward incentive in there for the players to actually give a crap about the whole game, or B, just get rid of the game, give the athletes the accolades on their incredible numbers and all their accolades in the season, and say, okay, hats off to you, but that's it. So I think they need to either completely change the way the game is set up or just do away with the whole thing.
Yeah, I
You're
agree.
on mute again, Brown.
I agree.
And
Good.
you're on mute again.
I'm terrible host. Hunter, you got any thoughts on the Pro Bowl before we move on?
I mean, I completely agree with Cud. If I had it my way, I would just do away with it because I've never watched the Pro Bowl. I've never cared to watch the Pro Bowl. And frankly, I don't know anybody who has ever watched him and like, wow, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I spent my Sunday afternoon watching the Pro Bowl. So if I had it my way, I'd do away with it. But I understand why they want to have something, especially when it was in Hawaii, because it was the guys kind of earned a trip to Hawaii. You go get to spend some time down there in February in Hawaii, which is pretty awesome. So I get that. So if you wanted to do something like that, let's do a 7-on-7 tournament, or I guess that's probably the only thing football related you could do without risking pretty big injuries. I mean, you could do like a dodgeball tournament, which I would love. I
They
would
did
love
that a couple
something
years ago.
like
That was
non-football would.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Watch the guys just be freak athletes, which is, kind of what NFL players are. They're just the best of the best athletes. Like, let's just put them in a normal competition and see what they can do. I think I'd love that. But no, I mean, I said, if I had it my way, it'd be over. We'd be done with it.
You know what I do if I'm Roger Goodell about Pro Bowl weekend?
If I'm Roger Goodell, I step down immediately and let somebody competent run the NFL. But that's just me.
Here's what I do. I take a format like the NBA, where the NBA has first all-team NBA, second all-team NBA, third all-team NBA. Here's what I think you do. I think you take first through fourth, or even just first and second, and you have a 7-on-7 tournament where you have like a first all-team NFC, second all-team NFC, first all-team AFC, second all-team AFC, and you have them play just a little 4-team 7-on-7 flag football tournament. It's just, that's why it's just 2 games max. They're playing for something, just pride or whatever, right? You get, what is it, like 5 seconds to throw the ball. You do a 7-on-7 tournament. You have all the linemen who make the first team go out there and run the 4x1 or do like the high jump, or like something funny. I just let the linemen have a good time, or like a freaking hot dog eating contest. Like that. No, seriously, like that would be so.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Because you like, if you think it from a lineman perspective, the only reason they're going to the Pro Bowl is to hang out in Hawaii. They're like, man, I got to go to this game and just bend over and stand up for 60 minutes. Like, that just sucks. And so let them have like a hot dog eating contest or run like a 4x1 against each other. And I think you take first and second all team AFC and NFC and have a little 4-man 7-on-7 tournament. I would watch that way more than I'd watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
hey, you're getting
That'd be fun.
Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen are leading 2 7-on-7 teams versus freaking, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers and, XO from the other side. I'd be like, dude, that sounds like a blast, to just watch those guys just go out and just pure notepads, just carve it up. I think the Pro Bowl as is, where everyone gets in pads, there's no defense, you can't tackle them, no touch. Like, I'm like, dude, I don't want to watch this.
No, that was awful.
What?
It made me mad to watch. But I like that. That's a good point, Yay. Kind of a little 7-on-7 tournament. You get some competition in there. There's no tackling. Injuries could still happen, but I mean that could happen at any time.
Mhm.
And
Right.
you mentioned the NBA All-Star. Well, you mentioned like the way they set it up. Their All-Star game, we know what we're gonna get. There's no defense. There's a lot of scoring. It's still somewhat entertaining.
Oh, it's
Mhm.
super entertaining. I love watching the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah, I do too. I love NBA All-Star Weekend, but the NFL, they got to change something. They've got to look into it or just get rid of it altogether. No one's feelings are going to be hurt if they get rid of the Pro Bowl. So we got to move on though. I want to get into. We got a couple more things to talk about. I want to talk about a little USA soccer and some hoops talk. But I want to get in our top 5 this week, and this week's top 5 is
Let's
top
go.
5 sports stadiums you want to visit and you can have already attended it. So, Cut, I'm gonna let you start your top 5 sports stadiums.
Okay, I'll go 5-1 here. 5, I would love to see a Michigan Ohio State game
Yeah.
in the Big House or at the Horseshoe. Either one. I think that'd be incredible games and cool stadiums to check out. Number 4, I would love to go to a Rose Bowl. That would be incredible. But, I mean, when you look back, usually every year at the list of bowl games, the Rose Bowl is usually one of the ones you talk about. And, especially looking back in history, there's always just been incredible, iconic moments and plays and stuff like that. Number 3, I'd like to go to Lambeau Field. That it's just when I think of the NFL, that is one of the first things that comes to mind, just the atmosphere, the history. Number 2, I'd love to go to Fenway Park. There's another one, like the same as Lambeau. Just when you think of baseball, you think of Fenway and some others, that are just a staple in the history of the game. And then number 1, it's Wrigley Field. That's the first thing I think of when I think of baseball. I think of the Chicago Cubs playing at Wrigley. So that's my 5.
Wow.
A little bit of breaking news: Virginia just beat Duke at the buzzer on a 3. It's a big,
No way.
big
By
win
how
for the Cavs.
much?
Beat them by 1. 3.
They were down 2 and hit a 3 at the buzzer
hit,
to beat Duke.
hit a 3 at the horn. So, Cut, not to take away from your top 5, but that I just got
my
that text
God.
right when you finished your list.
Wow.
What
All
were
right.
what were they money line? Like plus 800?
Probably a lot. They were like plus 11 or 12. That would have been a great bet. That's
Oh
big
my
news.
gosh.
Because a lot of mine are on your list. So I'm just going to jump in and give mine real quick because it kind of piggybacks on yours. Number 5 would be Lambeau. I think a Lambeau snow game would be a lot of fun to go to. Like a Lambeau playoff game would be awesome. 4, no one's going to have this on their list, but I got both gardens, TD Garden where the Celtics play, and then MSG's, unreal place to go, even though I don't like the Knicks. Those would be 2 cool places to go see. I didn't have the Rose Bowl on mine. I just put that at number 3. I can't believe I originally left that off. So piggybacked on Cud there. And Cud, we have the same number 2. I had Fenway Park. That would be my favorite baseball stadium to go see. Green Monster. I grew up liking the Red Sox, so Fenway would be it. And then number 1, I've been, don't care, Neyland Stadium. It's the best stadium in sports. It's the loudest stadium in sports. We got the best fans in the world.
For you
Do it.
people who don't know what
talking
that is, that's where Tennessee plays football.
Everyone knows
Oh,
that is. It's the best stadium
mercy.
in college football. Neyland Stadium. Go Vols. That's number 1.
Mercy, Cam.
So, yeah, go ahead and give your top 5.
This is not the emotional subjective where would we like to go. It's
Y'all-
actually cool
No,
places.
Y'all
No,
have
it's exactly where would you like to go?
Cud hates Tennessee. He knows it's a cool place. So, yeah, I'll let you go ahead. I'm telling y'all, it's unreal. It's an unreal place if you've never been.
Yeah, bro. Let's go watch the Vols.
It's not the Vols, it's the stadium. It's the stadium, Yag. It's the atmosphere. I'll take you to the game and change your life forever.
Okay, you know what? I think then this hold on, I gotta switch something.
Here, you want me to go?
Go ahead, Hunter. We got an unprepared Yag over here.
All right. So I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to shock the world here. I have Madison Square Garden as my number 5.
Do you really?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
I like
bro.
That is a shock.
And you know what? I'm gonna take this 5 seconds here. And I'm gonna apologize to the National Basketball Association. I said some pretty disparaging
boy.
things last week
Yeah.
about the NBA Finals. Upon reflection, I've decided that I'm going to try to give the NBA a chance and
Or
at least try. I'll make a good faith effort. And as an olive branch, I'm going to put Madison Square Garden as my number 5 on the list. Number 4, I have Lambeau. Kind of goes without saying. I'm going to get made fun of. Number 3, it's London Stadium. It's where West Ham plays. It's my English soccer club over in London.
Hey,
So,
you know what? I respect that. To go to a Man City or a Man U game, that would be cool.
I didn't. Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't say nothing about that. I don't want to go
West
watch no
Ham.
Man City.
Let's go watch the Hammers.
That's right. All right, number 2. Can't believe this wasn't on anybody's list. Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Oh,
What are we doing?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be a good one.
Apparently, Virginia's not too afraid of it, but I think it would be incredible. And number 1 on my list is Fenway Park. And I've actually been fortunate enough to go to Wrigley. And if I had not been to Wrigley before, it would have been number 1 on my list. And Wrigley lived up to the hype and then some. It was incredible. It was the most incredible experience I've ever had. And so I think going to Fenway would be every bit as good just from people I've talked to. So that's something that I'm actually hoping to do soon.
See, when I originally made my list, I had like 4 baseball stadiums. I was like, well, I need to venture out for content purposes. But
You had
Like-
4 baseball stadiums in the Vols Stadium, huh? Nice.
that was my original draft. But like baseball stadiums are like baseball's more synonymous with like their stadium, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like not really the
Yeah.
NFL. Like you have Lambeau and then maybe like Ford Field where the Lions play. But like college football and MLB is stadium kind of based. Like that's where you kind of get that. So yeah, go ahead and give out your list real quick.
All right. Well, goodness gracious. All right. Number 5 for me is the Hole 16 stadium hole at the Waste Management.
Oh,
That would be a great stadium to be in.
nice
Let me tell you
loophole there, yay! But that's a good
Yeah,
one.
so someone sticking it in there close or even making a hole in one. I could not imagine that atmosphere. Being in that atmosphere, someone hold it on 16 at the Waste
Man.
Management
That'd be fun,
on a Sunday. Oh my, that would just be crazy.
unreal.
Crazy. You remember the last time someone hold one, everyone threw their beer bottle onto the hole. They had to take like 30 minutes to clean everything off before the next group came through.
Imagine being there when Tiger made his hole in one on that hole.
Oh yeah. I think it's gonna be a nice easy 9-iron for him. So number 4 is Staples Center in LA. I think it would be so cool. The stars, you've got all these like LA actors, movie stars, singers, front row courtside. You've got LeBron there, AD, if they have a big team come in like the Warriors or even playing, the hometown Clippers, like that would just be such a cool place to be, right?
Yeah.
If Magic Johnson's there, like it would just be such a cool atmosphere because of everyone that's in the building.
That's the
Number
only,
3 is,
that's the only stadium I can think of where it's full of celebrities at all time. Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah.
But Staples Center's
I think
full
it
of
would be
celebs. So that would be cool.
I think Staples Center would be so cool. Number 3 is Oracle Park for the San Francisco Giants. I think the fact that you can just whack a home run into the bay and people got their canoes out there, their kayaks picking up home run balls. Man, I would be so stoked for those people in the kayaks sitting there all day long hoping for one ball. You see people diving in fully clothed, just get sopping wet for a home run ball against someone else, dude. I think Oracle Park would be awesome. Number 2 is going to be Lumen Field. Does anyone know what that is?
Yeah, I thought about it. Seattle.
Yeah.
And that's where the Seahawks play. One time they registered like a 4 or 4.5 on the Richter scale for an earthquake, a small earthquake, because they were so loud, dude. I think like a home divisional game end of the season versus the Niners, would just be so loud and so fun being in the 12th man. And then number one, I've been there. I went to a Christmas Day game there. It was by far the coolest place I have ever visited sports-wise in my life is Madison Square Garden in New York City. Went to a Christmas Day game back in like 2011. When Carmelo was still there. They played the Wizards. I was there when John Wall had his 360 layup on Christmas Day.
Wow.
That was versus the Knicks. I watched it happen. They had Beal, dude. It was, and the stadium, like the Garden itself was amazing. Just amazing, everything they had in there. Like if you go out of the stadium and you walk around, they have all the history that's happened there. Michael Jordan's, big game there. I'm sure they'll have something up there soon of Steph hitting breaking the threes in Madison Square Garden, breaking the 3-point record. So it's just such a cool place to be.
Yeah, a Christmas game on MSG. I don't know if it gets too much better than that. It
was so cool.
Don't ask Cud.
So cool.
Yeah, don't ask you two NBA haters over there. Is that the game where you were on TV, Yeager, or was that a Bulls game you were at where you were flagging?
That was a Bulls game because you called me and said, "Can you see me?"
We could see you on
Oh
national
yeah,
TV.
that was when they were playing the Rockets in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was sitting like 6th row, and I was like, "Wait a minute! I wonder if this angle can see me when they come down." So every time I come down, I go like this. And I was like, "Cud, look for me! Look for me!"
Yeah,
you can see me. Yeah, I remember that. That was in the Toyota Center in Houston.
That's our top 5. So I want to touch on a little USA soccer real quick before we jump into some hoops talk. So USA clobbered Honduras in the ice game the other day. Wednesday. 3-0 USA beats Honduras. We have 3 games left. We are inching closer and closer to a little World Cup clincher. So Hunter, I want to ask you, can we do it? Are we on the cusp of getting back to the World Cup, or are we still a long ways to go?
All right. So I want to be real careful because we're very close, but I'm trying to be real careful because I don't want to say it's a sure thing because clearly it's not. Like you said, we have 3 games remaining. The first one is at Mexico, then at home against Panama, and then at Costa Rica. The 2 away games there against Mexico and Costa Rica, I said it last week, they're going to be tough. Brutally difficult. Yeah, brutal. So best case scenario, we beat Mexico, which is possible. Mexico's a little bit down right now. So we could beat Mexico. And then if theoretically we beat Mexico and Panama and Costa Rica both lose, we're qualified after the first game of the next window. The most realistic scenario, though, is if we beat Panama at home and the second game, we're in unless Costa Rica wins their first 2 games, which is a little unlikely because I think they have to play Canada. They have to play Canada. And so it's very unlikely they'll beat Canada. So what I don't want to have happen, and it makes me lose sleep at night, is the last game of the window playing at Costa Rica. If that game means anything, I'm going to be a nervous wreck.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Exciting game.
If we pull a tie against Mexico and then Panama, are we in?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on what Panama ends up doing, but tying Panama at home would not be good.
So we need to first of all, we need to pull some points against Mexico. At least a draw would be fine.
Yeah. So here, I've got it right here. Panama first plays Honduras at home, and we just saw how bad Honduras is. So Panama should beat Honduras at home. And then if they tie us, then we would only have 1 point on Panama if we tied Mexico and Panama. So then obviously they'd be in. I know that's real confusing, but
that makes sense.
We need to beat Panama at home and get a result, either win or draw against Mexico and Costa Rica.
So we're in good shape, but we got to finish the deal.
Exactly. We are in good shape. We're statistically, if the models are saying that we're the overwhelming favorite against Panama and Costa Rica to get in, to qualify in 3rd place. So we'd have to really screw the pooch to not get in, but
we're knocking on the door, but there's work to be done, is what you're telling me.
Yes. Great news, though, is Giovanni Reina played again this weekend, back for his club in Germany. He's back, and he is, I've said it before, but he's our secret weapon. He's going to be the best player in U.S. soccer history.
How dang good is Weston McKennie?
Legend.
Unreal.
He's unbelievable.
We took care of business against Honduras. That was good to see. I was scared the weather of that we go out and lay an egg, and that would really put us in some big trouble. So good to see us go out and win. So before we close out this week's pod, I want to talk a little college hoops. Hunter, I know me and you are extremely excited to start touching on some hoops quite a bit once football is officially over, which does suck. Football will be over, but March Madness, the best time of the year, is knocking on the door. We are about 5 weeks away from that time, March Madness opening week. So, and we just talked about Virginia just knocked off Duke on the road. That's a big win for Virginia in their resume to keep them alive for tournament talk. College basketball's picking up, boys. So there's some really good teams. So Hunter, I'll let you start this. We're talking soccer. Now we'll talk a little hoops. Team to beat in college basketball right now. Who you got?
Well, Auburn is clearly the team playing the best basketball right now. Gonzaga is killing everybody, but they don't really play anybody, so it's kind of hard to tell what their level actually is. And we saw that last year too. They were winning every conference game by 20, 30 points, and then it just once they met Baylor, it just kind of there wasn't much carryover in form, and maybe that was just a fluke, but I don't think so because we've seen it in the past too. So those would be the first two teams that come to mind. I actually had Duke on my list because they've been playing really well, and then that loss tonight kind of changes my opinion on them a little
We're
bit.
so inconsistent.
Yeah, they don't seem to have a very reliable, kind of go-to guy to get them out of a funk. If one or two guys having a bad night, they don't really have somebody who can lift the team, that kind of glue guy that a steady team needs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And man, I know I was just sitting here talking bad about Gonzaga, but I think if I had to put my money on anybody, it'd probably be them. I think they pose such a problem with matchups that they have so many weapons. And then that dadgum Chet Holmgren is such an interesting matchup. I looked at it today. He's 7 feet tall and weighs 195 pounds. So, which shouldn't be possible, right? I mean, that's
Hunter, say that again.
That healthy?
7 feet tall, 195 pounds. I'm about a cheeseburger and a half away from 195 myself, and I'm 6 feet tall. So, I mean, that's crazy.
7 foot, 195.
Yeah. But get this, he shoots 46% from three.
Yeah, he can
46%. I mean, that's elite level from the 3-point line. So that's obviously he's right. So he's big, he's long. Obviously, he's not very physical. I mean, he's a twig, but he's shifty because he's so small, and he can shoot. And so he poses some crazy matchup issues. And obviously, they still have Drew Timme, who's an All-American. They have Andrew Nembhard, who's a really good guard. Obviously, Mark Few's a good coach too. And I think they're the team to beat, but you just never know with Gonzaga because of who they play throughout the year.
And Gonzaga always buckles in the tournament.
I know.
Get it done. A certain team in Waco took care of them last year. Hunter, you know them pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave the floor with you then. And is it time to slam the panic button on the Baylor Bears because things are not going as planned? And it was an ugly loss against Kansas, 83-59. I did not get to watch the game, but I checked the score.
You didn't miss much.
It had to be ugly. And Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse is about as tough a place to win as there is. But so are we slamming the panic button on Baylor? I know we asked it last week, but we'll touch on it again.
I'm not slamming the panic button. I'm sure some people are because some people probably bit into the hype that we were just as good this year as we were last year. And I've been saying it all year. We're still a good team. I don't think we're as bad as we looked on Saturday. I mean, that was pitiful. It was an awful performance, but we still have LJ Cryer, who's, in my opinion, he's our most dangerous guard. He's still hurt. But then the guys that we do have that are actually playing are coming back from injuries as well. So nobody's really at full strength. And so I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, but I think we're better than the team that showed up on Saturday. But we're also not a 1 seed. We're probably not even a 2 seed. I was thinking about it today. I think if we're a 3 seed in a region, that's probably pretty fair, which I still think if we get hot and James Akinjo starts actually hitting the shots that he's taking, then we could make a run and maybe catch fire and win a national championship. But it's not Final Four bust like it was last year for sure.
Yeah, this team kind of feels like and you were talking about the injuries. Baylor's not completely healthy. So that is definitely a big red flag. This team reminds me of the team that was a 3 seed that lost to RJ Hunter's Georgia State team. What was the kid's name that was talking about
That was when we lost to Yale. That was when we lost to Yale with the rebound. That was Torian Prince.
Torian Prince, that's what I'm thinking of. What's the
Yeah.
team? Who was on the team where y'all were the 3 seed against Georgia
Uh,
State a couple years ago? Because that team was really good, and they were fairly inconsistent at times. Then they
The-
didn't shoot it as well, and then
The
Georgia
team
State-
that so my senior year we had Jonathan Motley, who
Yeah,
I
that-
think he's
that
still in the
team.
league. That
Yeah.
we lost to USC that year. We were a 3 seed and we lost to a 6 seed USC. And but yeah, that team, that's a good call because that team was very similar. We had a lot of size, a lot of length, not a
Yeah.
whole lot of consistent guard play. And that's kind of how we are this year. Although I think our guards are better than they've been showing just because we've been battling injuries. So if we can get everybody healthy, could still be dangerous. But if we don't start trending in the right direction, I'm going to be a little scared.
So Yeg, I want to get you in. Cut. I'll let you talk about Bama here in just a second. So Yeg, we fired up for March Madness. You got any teams to be on the lookout for our brackets coming up soon? I'll give you the floor.
The team to put your money on is Gonzaga. Like, hands down, no questions asked. Gonzaga is the most well run, the most functional. I know everyone's hyped on Auburn, but their record, 22-1, is not like telling of how they are. Like, I was actually just going through it. Auburn is not very good on the road. So listen to this. They go to Georgia, they only win by 2 points.
They were lucky
They
to
go-
win that game.
Yeah, they go to Mizzou, and they win by 1,
They were lucky to
55-54.
win that game.
They go to Ole Miss, another unranked team, only win by 9. They go to Alabama, only win by 4. They go to South Carolina, win by 15. So that's like their best road win. They go to St. Louis. I don't even know where St. Louis is.
The Billikens
It's in the
can
city
play.
of St. Louis.
Like, but that could be anything. It sounds like one of those Chicago Catholic schools, you know? Like,
Yeah.
who? You know, if
I get
I
what you're
didn't know that it was St. Louis, the city, I would be like, man, are those the teams like playing on ESPNU Plus, you know, in a
Yeah.
high school stadium? But they go to St. Louis and only win by 4. And so it's like, I'm worried about Auburn. Oh, look at this. They go to USF, go to USF and only won by 6. Go to Loyola Chicago, only win by 9. Like, I'm worried Auburn, once they get out of home, once they have to go to the tournament, are they going to lose to a 16 seed? It absolutely could happen. Absolutely.
Let me push back on that, Yeg. What's the common denominator for every stat you just gave? They won all those games.
Barely.
Might have been ugly, but you don't write barely on the bracket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
You
what
just-
I'm
you just
saying
put 'em
is
in the next
no. But what I'm
I
saying is
definitely see your point. Definitely see your point.
when they go
Fine.
to the tournament and they have to play a 16 seed, granted they're a 16 seed, it's still a competent basketball team. You know what all the 16 seeds have in common? They say we got nothing to lose. And what do I say about teams that play with nothing to lose? It's
They're
dangerous.
dangerous. They're dangerous.
It's dangerous to have to play those teams.
I will say this, Yeg, and it seems like in today's college basketball, almost everyone plays down to their competition. Bama, which I'll let Cud get on, they're the world's worst. Duke just lost.
Texas
to the
Texas
12-point
is
favorite
the
to
most
Virginia.
prime example of that.
Texas does it. Everyone does
Any
it.
sport.
except Gonzaga. Gonzaga puts their foot on these small teams' throat and they win by 30 every night. But some of these big boy teams, for whatever reason, I mean, it's a long season. You play 35 games or whatever. They do play
That's
down
what I
to
said.
their opponents. So
I think Gonzaga's the team to put your money on.
I think my 3 teams and to beat right now are Auburn, Kentucky, and Gonzaga. Kentucky's a very well-rounded team. They beat the doors off of my balls a couple weeks ago. They can shoot it. They're big. They can rebound. They're obviously well coached. I think Kentucky's putting it together. They got beat by Auburn in their place. I'd like to, if they do go to Kentucky, I'd like to see how they match up at Rupp in that game. I think that'll be a really good ball game coming up. So, and then Gonzaga is Gonzaga. Their conference is better than it normally has been, and they're still beating everybody by 30 night in and night out. But Gonzaga was beatable. They weren't like last year. They were unbeatable all the way to the end of the year against Baylor. Gonzaga's had a couple losses this year, and they have shown to be human.
2 losses.
They lost to Bama and Duke, right?
Yeah.
Gonzaga. So I mean, yeah, they're beatable. Gonzaga's still really good. I think Auburn's really, really good. Bruce Pearl's got those boys playing. Their guards play well. Auburn's big as well. They can rebound. So those are my 3 teams. And there's quite a few teams below. You got, your Villanovas of the world, your Kansas of the world, Baylor's still up there. Texas Tech's playing really good ball. So there's some teams to watch out for. Watch out for the Big East. That's a nasty conference. You got those records don't reflect very well in the tournament because they beat each other up. But Providence, Seton Hall, Villanova, UConn, those are some teams to watch out for. So
Marquette.
Marquette,
about Marquette.
Shaka Smart's got those boys playing. They go into the tournament with 7, 8, 9 losses, but they're a lot better teams than that because they just sit there and beat each other up all the time. So moving past that cut, I'll give you the floor. Talk a little Bama hoops. We talked last week about it. Bama is something that I've never seen before in college basketball. We talk about inconsistency. They are the model of that. They have some unreal wins, some real bad losses. I think that was one of Bama's worst performances on Saturday because Kentucky did not play well, and Bama only put up 55 shots. I feel like I was kind of thinking of some thoughts to say on the pod watching Bama. I feel like Bama lives and dies with the three too much. Bama's kind of undersized, so they kind of start relying on the three. They don't rebound the ball very well, and the three was not falling against Kentucky, and they got beat. So, Cut, I'll
Question.
give you the floor.
If the season was to end today, what seed would Bama be likely to get?
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do that job because I mean, I could see him as a 5. I could see him as a 12. I'd put him as an 8 or 9.
I was thinking about a
Let me-
7 or 8.
Because
8, 9. Guess what? 8 or 9 seed.
they get that one.
Auburn would have to see them second round.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
Telling you
Bama's
that
got
is
some great-
not, if I'm Auburn and I'm that coach and I'm that fan base, I'm worried about March Madness more than I am the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about March Madness, what makes it so great is you literally don't know what's going to happen.
I can't wait.
I mean,
I can't wait.
I sent you that video earlier of Virginia Hunter, and it's got my hopes up, and I'm all wound up because it's still
I can't
far
wait.
away. But
Did I ever tell y'all I can't remember if it was like 3-4 seasons ago or before my mission that I got 30 of the first round right?
yeah, I remember that.
32.
You got quite a bit right. I remember
What?
that.
Yeah.
Good
I
run.
got 29 or 30 of the first round picks correct.
It was that year where it was real chalky, and I think Ye just ran right through it. That was one of
Chalky
the,
egg.
Yeah, that was one of the more remarkable things that I've ever seen. So Cut, I'll let you get in here, talk a little about Bama, and are you slamming the panic button? Because there was a lot of hype around that Bama club this year, following their
Yeah.
run last year, and they have not lived up to it.
Well, yeah, we
Kind of
made a
big
hell of a
thing
run
here.
last year in the tournament, and and we had a great recruiting class coming into this year too, and have a good one coming in the next year as well. I really like Nate Oates and stuff, but man, pretty much since he's got there, we live and die by the three. And we have shooters to do it, but man, when it's not falling, we're cooked. I mean,
Yeah.
and then we played Auburn. Before this Kentucky game, we got the doors blown off of us. I thought we'd bounce back at home against a great team. And we were up 9-1, and like the blink of an eye, I was like, here we go. This is great, and then the wheels came off, and we ended up shooting 28% from the field, and even worse from the 3-point line. We were 3 for 30.
That's
I mean,
bad.
that's horrible. I mean, that's 27 empty possessions. You can't win doing that.
That'll
And
get
like you said, Kentucky, they only scored 66 points. We only lost by 11, and we just played that bad.
Yeah.
So, I think we definitely didn't deserve to win that game, but it's frustrating because we've seen in this season, we're capable of beating very good teams. So yeah, I don't know. Really, we had to finish this regular season out strong because not only do we need to pick up some more wins to make sure we get in the tournament, but we need some momentum going into the tournament because, like all y'all were just saying, the tournament's wide open. I don't care what seed you are and how good you were the first 30 games of the year. If you come in there relaxed, you're pretty much already lost, and like you have these teams that are seeded, late, low numbers, they got nothing to lose and they're dangerous, like Yeg was saying, So I think that we really need to, I don't know really what it is, but yeah, we're struggling rebounding the ball. I think we trying to go through too much of Jaden Shackelford. He's a great player, but man, if he's not on, then it falls to Javon Quinterly. And then from there, it's kind of sporadic. So like Hunter was saying with Baylor, you got your 1, 2, or 3 guys, but then after that, it's kind of hard for someone to come in there and just lift them up. So, yeah, I mean, it was frustrating the last couple games, especially how we've typically played better against great ball clubs and bad against bad ball clubs. So the Ravens of the league strike again.
But I have a question for you. From an outsider's perspective, I see the ups and downs of Bama. You get up for the good teams. You don't necessarily get up for the bad teams. And I guess that didn't really hold this week. But, I mean, it's at Auburn and at home against Kentucky. That's a tough week.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Nate Oates? Because, again, from an outsider's perspective, I see this team just do this with a lot of talent, and the performances are extremely hit or miss. And to me, some of that's got to fall on the coach. But I hear people talk about Nate Oates like he's this phenomenal coach, regardless of, what the performances are like on the court. So as a fan, how do you feel about him?
So whenever he was the coaching, he was Memphis's coach, right, Cameron?
No, Nate Oates was a Buffalo coach.
Buffalo, yeah, okay. When he was a coach for Buffalo, they led the league in fast break points. So, and if you really watch us play, whenever we get the ball, we push it up the floor.
Yeah.
Whether it's just a one pass and there's three or going straight to the whole turnover, we typically play fast, and and I like that, but it's at times we're getting ahead of ourselves and we have turnovers and empty possessions, and then we look up and say, oh man, like we're down 15, we got to shoot threes or something, and then that's just not the way to climb back in games. So, I mean, I do like Nate Oates, but at times I think that maybe, I'm not in that locker room. I don't know if he's telling them just run the floor, and just keep going fast. But typically when I'm watching us play and we're losing games, it's because we're running up the floor, bad passes, missing good shots, shooting off balance. And I think that's really what's killing us in these games where we're losing or barely getting by.
Yeah, Nate Oates' MO is fast, and it's up and down the floor, fast tempo. And when that's not working, you're going to turn the ball over 25 times a game, and you're going to miss a lot of threes. When it is working, you're going to hang 95 on somebody, and you'll beat anybody in the country. And that's what we saw when they beat Gonzaga, because y'all shot the eyes out of the ball in that game.
Yeah,
and that's what happened when you beat Houston. Y'all played really well. You controlled the tempo, controlled the pace. That was your game.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I'll piggyback on that answer too, Cud. I like Nate Oates because when in our life are we talking about Alabama basketball as a legitimate threat to anybody? I mean, it's been a long time. So he's put them on the map quickly. For whatever reason, their style of play is not working this year like it did last year, because that up tempo high pace was fun to watch last year. They were really good. And after the beginning of their season this year, it's for some reason it's not clicking. No one's shooting the ball well. Bama turns the ball over a lot. They're not rebounding it well. So I don't know. Bama's going to be definitely a team to keep an eye on, for a team that y'all started the season, maybe top 5, Cud, top 10. Y'all were.
Oh yeah, we started out the season killing it, and then we pretty much came back to earth from there. Other than that,
the bubble.
I mean,
I love March Madness.
Best event in sports.
You know who to never bet against in March Madness? First round. A first round lock every single year. The
Syracuse.
Dayton Flyers.
Dayton's not going to be in the tournament this year, yay. That is a good point. Because to your point, yay.
How are they not going to be in the tournament? Are they bad?
They haven't been good since they got screwed in that COVID year when they were the 1 seed with Obi Toppin. That team was really, really good, and they were the best team in the country that year.
very good.
Whoa.
They're 15-8. Is that not good enough?
They were the second best team in the country behind Baylor. How about that?
That's right.
Yeah, March Madness is coming up. I can't wait. Hunter, I forgot a team on my team to watch out for, the Houston Cougars. And that's without their best player.
That's why I didn't mention Houston. I just refuse to believe that they can still compete for a national championship without their best player.
Yeah.
But they haven't slowed down a bit.
Losing Marcus Sasser hurts, and they play in a weaker conference, kind of like Gonzaga, but they are physical. They can rebound the ball. So
Houston, baby.
It's gonna be fun. We get one more week of football, and then we're on to basketball, and we'll get a lot of college hoops talking here. I know all 4 of us love college basketball, and March Madness is on the corner. So anybody got any final thoughts before we close out this week's pod?
March Madness.
Go Bengals.
I love it to death. I love March Madness to death. but it is one of the saddest days of the year is watching the Longhorns lose in dumpster fire fashion every single March.
I want to throw this, and then we got to close it out. Speaking of Longhorns, that Texas Tech atmosphere in Lubbock was one of the best college basketball atmospheres I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I knew that game was going to be crazy. Shout out Texas Tech and that crowd, because that was unbelievable atmosphere. There was no way Tech was losing that game. That was
They had people
awesome.
camping out like 4 days in advance.
Yeah.
Days in advance. So
After that game, I heard people talking about how we need more hate in sports.
Yeah.
Like we need people to hate the other team when they walk into the arena. And I couldn't agree more. Now you shouldn't hate people, but in sports it's okay, you know.
And to their credit, you know, we're talking about hate. There was nothing crazy that happened.
They didn't throw anything. Nobody ran on the court after him.
No stupidity. So it was awesome. You know, you get a hostile environment like that. Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
You know, we saw Chris Beard come out with 20-something cops. He knew he was walking into the jungle. But it was awesome. And that's why college basketball is great. We're talking about Cameron Indoor earlier and how crazy those games get. So, and I don't know if y'all watched an Auburn game at home, but that crowd is something else. They were something to get the name of that.
Auburn Alabama game was the same night as the Texas Tech game, and
Awesome.
it was the perfect night of college basketball.
That was the first night of the year where I really got, okay, college basketball, here we go. It's time. So that was fun to watch. So we'll get more of those games too. We'll get some big time conference games coming up as we're wrapping up the conference season, and then we'll get March will be here before we know it, boys. February's a short month. So that's all we got on this week's pod, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week. We'll do a little Super Bowl recap. Go Cincinnati Bengals. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.